And welcome to the End Time Show for our channel. I'm Gerald. We'll be discussing, as in the days of Noah, human-pig hybrid created in lab, transhumanism, and genetic manipulation. Now, several weeks ago, scientists were conducting experiments where they injected human stem cells into these pig embryos with the hopes of growing human organs within pigs to harvest the organs for individuals that may need organ transplants. Now, we also found this article in the National Geographic titled Human Pig Hybrid Created in the Lab. Here are the facts. And it states at the top, scientists hope chimera embryos represent key steps towards life-saving lab-grown organs. So they're trying to spin this as a method or experiment to help preserve human life, but it's something even much more deeper that's going on. It's a prophetic sign that we're living in the last days. Now, when we look at the scriptures, Jesus is at the Olivet Discourse, and he's speaking to his disciples. He mentions a key phrase or key thing in the scriptures, as in the days of Noah. Now, we have to keep in mind, we have to find out what exactly was occurring in the days of Noah. We know that it was a flood, and we know that Noah preached for at least 120 years, and nobody repented, and it was just him and his family were preserved when they got on the ark. But one of the key things that were occurring in the days of Noah was gene manipulation. There was a mixture of the species. And that's where also, too, we look at the different ancient cultures, their mythology, especially Greek mythology, where you see men were a mixture of man and beast, and a mixture of the different beasts and all. It comes from this, and this thing is starting to come back and have a revival. And also in the scriptures it states, there's nothing new under the sun, which Solomon mentions in the book of Ecclesiastes. So we're going to look at how this thing is really wrapping up very fast, and that the prophetic scriptures are being fulfilled.
At this point, an animal or a human wouldn't have any problems to use those lungs as a replacement for human lungs.
This is it. Human stem cells being injected into a pig's embryo. For the first time, scientists are seeing how our cells grow and interact inside an animal. This pig, the first known chimera.
The ultimate goal for this type of research is to whether we can use this technology to generate human tissue and organs. That's going to give us a lot of unique insight.
Right now, scientists are nowhere near that goal, but recent studies have shown how that process can work using gene editing. Scientists would delete a specific piece of an animal's DNA, so its embryo wouldn't be able to grow a heart, for example. Then they'd inject that embryo with human stem cells, which move into the void and grow a human heart. The embryo would then be put back inside the animal to develop.
The possibility of growing human cells and tissues inside animal is an exciting first step for the dream of generating tissues and organs for transplantation into humans. We're still far away,
To date, everything the researchers have done is legal, but what they're doing is highly controversial. The embryo is only being allowed to develop for 28 days. It's not allowed to be born. Bioethicists say this research raises a lot of uneasy questions.
The boundaries between what it means to be human and what it means to be non-human can become quite blurred. Also, it's not great for the animals. There's risks for them. There's no benefits for them. It may help a lot of people, but the moral status associated with this is a deep, deep, deep question.
That word, chimera, from Greek mythology is meant to elicit fear. But the scientists argue they are trying to solve a problem and save lives, not create a monster.
An international team of scientists claims to have created a chimera between a human and a pig thanks to an experiment whose results have been published in the journal Cell. Juan Carlos Ispizua Belmonte, who leads the team of researchers, says that the objective of the research is to create functional tissues or organs that could be transplanted. To carry out their experiment, scientists injected human stem cells into pig embryos at an early stage of development, allowing them to create about 2,000 hybrids that they then implanted and were grown inside a sow, allowing 186 of them to become chimeras. Here they remained for 28 days, a period which corresponds to the first trimester of pregnancy of these animals, after which scientists extracted the fetus, thus ending the process, not allowing the embryos to become piglets. Researchers claim that the amount of human tissue that grew inside the pig embryos was extremely low. Belmonte claims that it was enough time for the chimeras to develop so scientists could analyze them without ethical concerns linked to mature chimerical animals. According to the scientist, the possibility of the birth of an animal containing human cells is something that could cause concerns outside the scientific world. Society has to decide what to do, he says. Scientists warn that if too much human DNA is injected into a pig's embryo, it could create a pig with a human brain or a human face. Dr. David King, director of Human Genetics Alert, said, "I find these experiments disturbing. In mythology, human-animal chimeras were frightening monsters for good reason. I don't recall these scientists asking for the public's opinion before going ahead with such experiments. I am concerned that human organs or tissues produced in pigs might carry pig viruses into the human population. The concern about mixing species touches something deep in the human psyche and our culture that is hard to put into words. It is not about some wisdom of nature, but about the unwisdom of scientists." Dr. Ispizua said, "At this point, we wanted to know whether human cells can contribute at all to address the yes or no question. Now that we know the answer is yes, our next challenge is to improve efficiency and guide the human cells into forming a particular organ in."
Genesis 6, verse 7 says, "And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things." Now, to have a better understanding of Genesis chapter 6, when the Lord is talking about destroying both man and beast, we're going to look at the book of Jasher, which is mentioned in the Old Testament scriptures, such as Joshua chapter 10, verses 12 through 13, 2 Samuel chapter 1, verses 18 through 27. So it'll give you a better understanding what provoked the Lord to want to destroy both man and beast. Now it states, "And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men and took their wives by force from their husbands according to their choice. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other, in order therewith to provoke the Lord. And God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its way upon earth, and all men and all animals. And the Lord said, I will blot out man that I created from the face of the earth, yea, from man to the birds of the air, together with the cattle and beasts that are in the field, for I repent I made them, Book of Jasher, chapter 4, verses 18 through 19. So pretty much what we're seeing, what these scientists are conducting in this 21st century is the very fact, the same things that were occurring in the days of Noah. They begin to mix the different species together, and it provoked the Lord to anger, where he had to bring judgment. This was one of many cases, not the only thing, that triggered the flood and the judgment of men and beasts upon the face of the earth. And we're going to see this again because we're living in the last days. Now, people, we've seen the video evidence of what these scientists are actually conducting in these laboratories by using this gene manipulation. We've seen in the scriptures in Genesis chapter 6, verses 7, what the Lord was talking about in the days of Noah. We've seen in the book of Jasher, chapter 4, verses 18 through 19, how it talks about the gene manipulation that's taking place. It is a prophetic sign that we are definitely living in the last days. Now, when we take a look at Matthew chapter 24, verse 36, these are the words of Jesus. These are the very words of Yeshua. He says, as it was in the days of Noah, so it shall be also at the coming of the Son of Man. So we're definitely living in the last days, the last minutes of the last days, and the Lord is soon to come back. And these signs are showing the church, you need to prepare yourself, you need to repent, we need to be about our Father's business, we need to be actively preaching the gospel, discipling the nations, and preparing people for the wrath and judgment that's going to take place upon this earth before it's too late. This is the End Time Shofar channel. God bless.